First day in pads. Love the intensity. We flexed and went kind of period one and went right into teamwork. Got into a fast start. Players had some intensity flying around, a lot of jabber going back and forth, which creates a lot of emotion. But I thought it was a hard-fought day. There were some plays that the defense got the best of the offense, and the offense. There's some plays the offense did some good things, but probably more so than anything else, the improvement. And I talked about the thing that frustrated me the last couple of days with the offense is jumping off sides, bad snaps, going backwards, just doing things that you can't execute whatsoever. And I thought the centers did a much better job with the snaps today and had actually had a little bit of a resemblance of a football team. So I was proud of the way they bounced back today after a hard day yesterday of teamwork.
What do you contribute yesterday to? I know
I think young centers, have a center that's taking a snap in a game. It's hot. They're out there. I mean, it's day 4, losing their focus a little bit of all of that. I mean, it was the first day we started using long counts and hard counts, and we were jumping off sides as much as the defense. And those are just focus things. And that's what upset me were fundamental mistakes, effort mistakes, things like that. It wasn't a physical mistake where a guy got beat. I can deal with that. But it was the fundamental things that if you're going to play center, you got to be able to snap a football, period. I mean, there is no choice. You have to be able to snap a football or they call you guard or tackle. But if we're going to have our centers play center, there can be no, oh, my bad. They got to get it done. And I thought they stood up and did a much better job today.
There was a little bit of a scuffle during one of the O-line, D-line codes. Do you like that kind of intensity, or is there a fine line to draw?
No, I don't like the fight, but I love the emotion, and that's why I said I don't ever want to take emotion out of this game because you can't play this game without emotion or passion. Now, we got to be smart. I mean, with what we're doing, sometimes a little tussle gets into a little push and shove, and you know what? It's good for the morale of camp. If it turns into fighting, then no, that's not healthy for us building our team morale.
You look at your quarterback battle right now, it's nip and tuck.
Yeah, there's some guys really doing some good things. I think Ryan has improved tremendously from where he was even in spring practice, and I thought he was much better in spring practice than he was a year ago. But when I look at a guy like Cody Sokol, who's had this offense really for this summer, but the first 4 or 5, this was his 5th day on the field. He's picking some things up, and he's doing some good things. And I like the way that Taylor Birch is responding. Alex Woodall's doing some better things, and I think Bryce Wilson continues to impress with the way that he can stand back there and read defenses and the release that he has and the way he throws the ball. So what a difference a year makes. I'll just say it that way because there are 5 quarterbacks that all have the talent to play here.
When you look at Bryce Wilson, when you were recruiting him, I'm sure you looked at his highlight tape and you said, wow, this guy can really spin it. Did you expect it to be like it has been in the first 5 days?
I didn't. And it's hard to see everything on tape, but I didn't. But I look at Coach Peterson, had a chance to watch him live, and he came back, and I even used that expression that he told me, he said he throws it like Zeus. He said, I've had a couple first-round draft picks and haven't had a quarterback that have that type of release. Now, he's still a freshman, and just like when he had Pennington and Leftwich, those guys as freshmen weren't what they were as seniors. But when you look at the raw piece of clay you're working with and the talent, skills that he has as far as his quick release and the way he can throw the ball, he's going to be a really special player.
How's his rapport with the team thus far?
It's been excellent with all 3 of those quarterbacks, Cody, Ryan, him. They've all really done a nice job of coming in. We've really got a much closer football team this year than we did a year ago. Those guys do a lot of things together, just really talking about eliminating the selfishness and getting rid of the I syndrome that, has infected our society where everybody wants to talk about me and me and me and giving up your own individuality for the good of this team and encouraging each other and bringing each other along. And you can hear the banner and the talk going on during the course of the day. And I think we got some great leaders on this team. Just listening to the first 5 days, and when things start to drag, the way they're picking it up, we challenge the heck out of our offense after yesterday, this morning in meetings, and they came out today and they responded. And I think those are all positive signs. And tomorrow, the defense will sit in here and get challenged, and how will they respond? And that's the give and take, and that's how you get better as a football team, is when both sides every day are going out there to compete and get and win out there on the practice fields. And that's what today was all about. I thought today was what a big time practice is supposed to look like.
How close do you think you are to deciding on a quarterback?
I said it before. We'll have in 2 weeks, after 2 weeks of camp, is when we'll just make that decision.
Like full decision, or just this guy's going to take the majority of the reps?
Well, it'll be more who's going to get eliminated than it's going to be who's going to be the guy. Right now, who's going to be it? Because right now, trying to get 5 quarterbacks all that work is too hard. It's too hard to get those 5 work, but they all have a chance to play this year. I mean, every one of them, as I see what I see. I wish we would have had a couple of them here last year. But I think there's a lot of talent in that room.
When you look at Carlos Henderson from a year ago, he came in at
160 pounds, 65 pounds, something like that.
He's at 185 right now.
Yep.
Of course, you had to redshirt him because of this 160. Did you expect this? What you've seen thus far in fall? From what I saw in last season on the scout team, yes. From what I expected when we brought him in here, no. There are some quarterbacks, there are some players, and especially we talked about a guy like Price. There's some players that come in that are like, you know what? He's a little bit better than I thought he was. And, through 5 days, I feel that way about Jared Kraft at Houghton. Really special player with some of the things that he's done the last 3 days in pads. Tywan Walters is really doing some good things. I've really been impressed with him. We've talked about the quarterbacks. I really like Marcus Gaines and what he's bringing to the receiving group with his speed and athleticism. I like what Russell Ferris is doing. I like what Jalen Ferguson is doing. I like what Cedric Cooper is doing. I mean, there are some guys right now, and I don't know how many I just named, about 7 or 8, but there are about 7 or 8 guys that have a chance to play this year as freshmen from what I've seen in 3 days. Now, it's still 3 weeks away from the first game. We're going to hit a physical wall. We're going to hit a mental wall, and then we're going to see how they fight through it and how they can come back and if they're going to be ready to play in year 1.
Coach, talk about the defense. They were flying around out there all day. It seems like they kind of have just a new attitude. Can you kind of speak to that?
Well, they do fly around. I mean, you look at them, there's a lot of speed on that field, and there's a lot of experience. We had about an hour meeting the other night about confidence, that swagger, that confidence, and what that is, and how you portray it, and how you feed off it with each other. And I think the defense is a classic example of that. We talk about the seniors, and you talk about guys like Levander Liggins, and you talk about Kobe Brown, and all those linebackers with Pinson, and Tony Johnson, and Mitch Villamez, and what those guys are doing right now, I think they're playing with a lot of confidence, but they're flying around because they can run. They're flying around because they can run, and we've got some team speed on defense, and I've made the comment from the beginning, our defense is going to have to carry this football team early.
How much have you seen Coach Diaz's influence on that?
Huge. Coach Diaz is very emotional. He's very passionate. He's very emotional. He's a very positive guy. He's an energetic guy. That doesn't mean that he won't get up and yell, scream, and holler. But every play, he's passionate one way or another. Passionate about what they did well. You see some guys that just yell, scream, and holler negative. But he is a guy that's just as vocal with the positive play. And I think his defense is really feeding off his personality right now.